Good morning to a brand new day. Time to learn and games to play. Learning things is so much fun. Learning is good for everyone.
Hello, early learners, and welcome back to the art room. It's me, Mrs. Read-Wright. We have been talking about birds all week, and we did a different bird each day, and today we are talking about the owl. As soon as I said owl, what did you think of? Did you think, oh, it's the bird that hunts at night? Oh, it's the bird that has the big eyes. Oh, it's the bird who can practically turn its entire head around in a circle. It's a hunter of small mammals. It will eat, oh, it even eats snakes. I mean, the owl will eat a lot of different things, and there are so many kinds of owls. I was studying up and thinking, well, what can I tell them about? Can I tell them about the one that has feathers that stick up and they call it a horned owl? But it doesn't really have horns, but it looks like it. The owl that I used today for our project kind of looks like a snowy owl, but it's going to be decorated. And it's going to have wings that really move if you have a brad. If you don't, you'll just glue your wings to it. And I made two wings, one kind of smaller and slimmer in the front and one in the back. And I'll show you, I made one so that you could see how it is put together. But let's sing our hello song before we get started. Hello, nice to see you, everyone. Hello, nice to see you, everyone. Hello to you, hello to you, hello to you, hello to me. Hello, nice to see you, everyone. Now, this owl is called articulated. I know that's a big word, but it really just means that it's a movable piece. And it kind of could be some kind of puppet if you could figure out how to hook a straw to the wings and make it stand up while holding the body up. And they're all different shapes that you can do. And like I told you before, as an art teacher, I don't give a shape for you to trace. You just have to look at it. When I was looking at it, I thought, hey, the body looks like a flip-flop. I thought, I can draw a flip-flop. A flip-flop's just an old shoe shape. And then it has the wings are just teardrops, one's bigger and one's smaller. But let's take a look. I wrote a little song about the owl, and it goes like this. Who flies around in the dark of night? Who glides on wings over silent night? Who eats his dinner by late moonlight? It's the owl with a sharp eyesight. And the owl does have a sharp eyesight. Something that's super interesting, I think, about owls, they have to be quiet in order to catch their prey. So they hunt for it and they look down below, and any movement they see, they keep their eyes on it. Their feathers are so fine on the edges, you can't even hear their wings. They fly silently, and then they just dart down to get the animal that they've decided is what they're going to have to eat. And I'll show you. I picked a light color paper to do my owl so that you could see the parts that I painted on it. But you can do a dark one and just use your pastels or use darker colored pencils. You decide, because you could just pick and make a bunch of them. This is my third one I made. I made a blue and white one. I made a red and white one and put hearts and things on it like a Valentine. But today, the one I made over the weekend, it's pink. And I used oranges and magentas to make it colorful. So I'll show you what it looks like. And then we'll decide how we're going to cut it out and make it. So here are my three pieces. Oh, I'll pick my whole table up. Here are my three pieces that I'm using for my owl. Here's the part I told you kind of looks like a flip-flop with a little tail on a triangle tail. And you can see I made it have this little part that this owl has. It's like a little widow's peak. I made its beak that is sharp for eating meat. I put the eyes and then put kind of like sunbursts around them. I made a place so I would remember where to put the wing. And here are the wing shapes. I made this wing, and I made this wing. Now, in order to make a hole, I used a toothpick and just poked it in there. And then, because when you try and put the brad in, especially the ones I get that don't cost very much money, the ends kind of will bend. But let me show you. Once I cut it out and painted it and let it dry overnight, I put the top wing on top so it can move out and like it's flying. So I made a little hole with a toothpick. You could use a push pin or you could use something sharp. Make sure anything sharp, you ask your parents to help you. And then I figured out where its shoulder would be and I put it there. And I thought, oh, that looks good like that because it goes down almost to its tail like a bird's feathers would. And then put it through the last shouldery one. And then I can turn it over. And what you do with a brad is you push back this part and push back this part, and it makes it stay on. You might have seen these in folders or in other things that have movable parts. So now look, I can move his back wing that way and this one up like it's going to take off flying. And the reason I made the back one a little wider is because when it goes down, you want it to be able to fold under. Now when I measured for my wings to go in, let me show you what I did. I figured out where the shoulder was, and I put the other one in the same place, and I poked a hole through. I held it, and I put it over a little piece of foam or a sponge so that it doesn't poke your fingers when you try and poke it through. Then you turn it over and flip it out. Now, I put feathers and triangles and diamond shapes and stripes and lots of different feathers and on its feet. Now that might be a part that you have to just glue on the back. I was able just to cut, and I only cut 2 toes because it was too hard to do 3 and the one in the back. It's just stylized, kind of Charlie Harper-ish, so don't worry however you do it. And it took me a few times to figure out the shape of it when I was making it. And I brought the pieces so you can see what it looks like when it's not painted. There is its body, here is its slender wing, and here is its heavier wing. And look, they're not even the same length. This one is a bit longer. Doesn't matter. You decide how you'll do your wings, but when you put them together, when they fly, they can go up and down and make little areas. Now, if I was going to do another one, maybe I'd want to do yellow because then the paint will show up better. But when you're going to do this, you can use your pencil and draw around and decide what's kind of like a flip-flop. So you're going down just an oval shape with a little triangle on the end. And you can cut it out and get started that way. So if you want to see me do mine now and then work on yours later, that would be fine because it takes a while to cut it out. And I didn't want you to miss seeing what I was talking about when you go to decorate it. So I used a heavier paper, and I think the white one will help you see. I could use my pastels. Oh, look at the set that came in the mail. It has all the colors I would ever need. And then I thought my colored pencils would be fun to use on this also. So I'm going to make its triangle on its head, like its hairline. And I think I will do this maybe I'll make it green. I've not done green before, but I see that my pencil is a little dull. And the thing about using these pencils, remember, don't use an electric pencil sharpener because it takes it off too much. So I'm going to draw its triangle head there, and that is exactly where its beak will come out of, and all that the beak is just a kind of a pointed oval. It ends up looking like, oh, like an egg that has 2 sharp ends. So let me make that so you can see what I'm doing here. And then its big eye goes here, but I'm going to put decorations around the outside of the eye. And remember, I really like when you do your own ideas. You don't have to do mine. So if I do that part, and if I look at my other one, bring it out for inspiration, I see that it has all colors around there, and I can start doing painting on that place. But remember on these colored pencils what happens? I can just scribble color if I want to, and then blend that in with my beautiful paintbrush that has water in the handle. Just paint it and have it blend in to make itself into paint. And make that part go around. Now I think about analogous colors and what colors would look good with this, and I think maybe when I use my paints, I might want to do greens and blues. And I told you before that I don't clean my paintbrush box because I like to use colors that have already been in there. And if I squeeze a little water from my handle, or if you're using water from a jar and just moving it forward, do that. And I can put some feathers on it. I can make it in rows down and around like this. I started at the top and made the feathers go down, and I think, oh, maybe some green would be pretty with it too. Notice how I'm doing this. I should probably move all these papers that are still really good and not getting paint all over them. I was hoping that it would just help you see them a little better, but I don't want to damage my good paper. Let me move these for a minute, boys and girls, and then I'll go back to painting. If you want to just practice painting yours right now and not do it on an owl shape, you can do that too and just practice. Oh, well, maybe I would do some small feathers like Mrs. Reedwright did and just go down the row, and I'll get my other blue and mix some green in with it because I think it looks pretty with just a bunch of different colors, and they don't have to all match what a real bird looks like, because this one is stylized too. And maybe I'll put some little dashes around the top of his forehead, what makes us have the feathers up there. Maybe I'll put some purple around his eyes and make the edge. Oh, it came out kind of navy blue instead. Maybe I have too much water on my brush. Maybe magenta would be pretty around it too. Put it between each of the spaces. Are you enjoying doing some things that you don't have to work into thinking, oh, well, does it have to look like this? Because on art, you get to decide what colors and how you want it to look. And maybe I would use something else on my next bird, because you can make your things all be different from one another and have a whole collection of them. And you could have a little art show in your neighborhood and say, everyone paint an owl and bring it down to my front yard, and we'll show each other and we'll show people that walk by, kind of like a lemonade stand, but instead it's an art stand. And same with the wings. You can do any kind of design. Maybe on this one, I'll make scallops and put some other colors in there. It doesn't all have to be in the green family. I can make it however I want. Boys and girls, I hope that you will take a picture of yourself working on yours, because I would love to see a bunch of owls that can flap their wings. You can bring them and show me, and we can send you one of the activity books. Do you notice how I'm doing each one a little differently? It's been a great week talking about birds and different ways of making birds look in art. And I look forward to seeing you next week when we learn about a woman who uses shapes in her art, and colorful shapes. Collect a lot of circles, and I'll see you next week. Happy weekend, boys and girls. Bye-bye.
Good morning to a brand new day. Time to learn and games to play. Learning things is so much fun. Learning is good for